see it now. All right.
And we're going. Today I am interviewing Don F. Isern of Troy, Ohio.
Isern.
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 I'm sorry.
It's okay. Everybody makes that mistake.
Okay.
Okay.
Don was born November 14th, 1924. Don, you served in the U.S. Army, and you attained the rank of corporal. Tell me, how did you first become involved with the U.S. Army?
I was drafted in the Army, and that's how I became involved.
And you have your mother and your father. What did your father do before you went into service?
Well, my father had passed in 1934, but he was in World War I. Yes, he was.
Good.
Yes.
And did you have any brothers or sisters?
No brothers or sisters, no.
You were an only child.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, huh?
And this interview is being conducted in Miami County Veterans Historical Project in the American Folklife Center for the Library of Congress. It is sponsored by the American Legion, Post 43 in Troy, Ohio. Don, tell me, where were you born?
I was born in New Bremen, Ohio.
Okay. And as we've said, you were an only child. And what were you doing before you entered service?
I just graduated from high school and came to Troy, Ohio, and learned how to fly an airplane, a Piper J3, a tandem job, and worked for Waco Aircraft until I was drafted.
I see. And then you entered service in Troy, Ohio.
I did that, yes.
And tell me, where did you take your basic training?
It was in Indiana, Atterbury, Indiana.
Just north of Columbus, Indiana.
Yeah, that's correct, yes.
And
but I didn't take basic there.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't have basic until my final minutes, or final weeks in the service.
I see.
Yes.
And tell me, what was your incentive for joining the U.S. Army?
I was drafted, obviously, and when I arrived in Indiana, they knew that I played trumpet, and they asked me if I would play with the Army band, and we played all kinds of functions, which included the Army Air Force, the Army, not the Air Force, but the Army Air Force, what am I trying to say? I'm not really sure. The country clubs of the Air Force, or Army, and I also played for various functions, which entertaining the troops who were in the hospitals, and also the officers' club, things of that kind. That's what we did with the band, yes.
Okay. Did you ever play a USO dance?
I think I did, yes, I did. Yes, okay.
And you served where? Just in Atterbury?
There, and they sent me to various places on the East Coast. I ended up at Aberdeen, Maryland. I was there for quite some time also, and we played places on the East Coast, yes.
Okay. And tell me, did you form any lasting friendships when you were in service?
None that I can remember. Okay. It's been a few years ago, you know.
Yes, it has.
Yes.
And tell me, how often did you stay in touch with your family at home? Was it?
Well, of course, there was mail,
Yes.
and we sent a lot of mail back home. Yes, we did.
And
Yeah.
telephone calls, I assume?
No telephone calls. No, I didn't have that kind of money.
Oh, okay. Were there any off-duty pursuits that you played?
Off duty, not that I can think of. A friend of mine owned an airplane, and he and I would go up and fly every now and then. That was on the East Coast.
Yes.
Any other pursuits that I can think of? Yes, I can think of one. The Aero Brewing Company in Baltimore, on a Sunday morning, you could go there in the basement and drink beer free. And that was the only other pursuit that I had.
That's good. And tell me, where were you when the war ended?
I, of course, was out by that time, and I was back home, and I probably had a job somewhere.
I see.
Yes.
Okay, the August the 15th, when the war ended, you were not in service.
I was not in service at
Okay.
that time, yes.
All right. And tell me, how did you, what method did you use to get home? Did you have an automobile, or did you take a train, or?
I believe I took a train, yes. And I do remember the train very well, because back in those years, they had units there that were heated by typical old stoves. And that's the only way they kept the railroads warm.
Mm-hmm.
And my train had one of those.
I see.
Okay?
Okay. And when you arrived home, your mother and father greeted you, I assume?
My father wasn't living at that time, but my mother greeted me, and so did my grandfather and grandmother, yes.
I see. And then when you returned home, how were you employed, or what did you do when you returned?
Well, that's very good. I think I must have done something. I don't know. I know exactly what I did. I drove a car for our people that had cleaning, dry cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember driving that car and delivering dry cleaning to all kinds of folks. Like my preacher, for instance, who the owner of the dry cleaning said, oh, by the way, the Reverend did not pay last week. And so I went to deliver this, and the Reverend said, I can't pay you today. And obviously I said, well, sir. Oh, he said, I need this for tomorrow morning at the church. I said, I'm sorry, sir. I'm going to have to take this back home until you pay for it. And the owner was surprised. He got a phone call, and he said, you send that man back? And he said, I'll pay him.
Yeah.
My preacher, too.
Oh, good. Oh, that's interesting.
Okay.
We covered that. Okay. Your early days of service, we covered how you entered service,
Yes.
being drafted, and we covered when you went to Atterbury in
Yes.
Indiana.
Yes.
Did they give you any specialized training when you were at Atterbury?
None whatsoever. They just let me pick up my trumpet.
You
Wasn't that easy?
that was
Okay.
fun. Tell me, how did you find your accommodations there in Atterbury?
It was just fine, and let me tell you who took care of the furnace. We had POWs from Germany taking care of the furnace while I was there, yes. I found the accommodation very good. Yeah.
Oh, that's, motion, none of that. I don't think there's anything else in there. I'm
You-
sorry for the delay.
You played in the band, Don, at that time, and
I
tell
did.
me,
Yes.
let's go back now and start when you first got there, and what kind of band you played in, and the kind of people you were with, what kind of events you played for.
The event that we played for, we played in some of the areas where the GIs who were in hospitals, we entertained there. Some of those guys couldn't get out of the room because of their injuries, so we would go into the room and entertain there. And in addition to that, we played other hospitals also, and we played various places in Indianapolis to accommodate some of the city people. The train station was one, and a few others which I frankly can't remember. But they treated us just great. They did very well with us, yes.
How big was the band, and tell me about the other players and
We
so
had
forth.
about, I think, something like about 7 or 8 people in the band, and that was just about the right size. Yes, it was. Yes.
What instruments did you have?
Well, we did the usual: the trumpets, tenor sax, bass, bass, drums, and we did have a singer. I did not sing, by the way. Thank goodness for that. But that was the makeup of the band at that time. Yes.
Who was the director, and was the...
I wish I could tell you. I have no idea. It's been so long.
Don't remember.
No, I can't recall.
Did you play any military ceremonies, though?
If we did, I can't recall.
Like marches and so forth?
We may have, but I don't recall that. I don't recall doing any of that.
Well, you were at Atterbury at this time then. When did you stay there the entire time you were in military service?
I stayed there until I was transferred to the East Coast with the band, and we went to Aberdeen, Maryland, and then shortly after we finished playing there, I finally took basic. And I had an adversity with the M1. I had an M1 thumb. Are you familiar with that? Okay. Okay. And when I finished basic, we got out of the service, and that was it.
But you didn't get a sharpshooter medal then?
No, I didn't get any medal.
That's with the thumb.
I should have gotten a medal for my thumb.
Bad thumb.
I think.
Tell me about did you ever pull any kind of duties at all outside playing in the band?
I didn't perform any of their duties because most of the guys in the band, none of them did. We were just, that was our job. And we worked day and night at that. Yes.
And you played all kinds of events? then?
All kinds of events, yes, we did. Yes, all kinds of things. Columbus, Indiana, we were there. We were all those little towns in and around Indianapolis. And there are so many that I can't even remember.
Were you raising money for like war bond rallies and things? Or just...
Yeah, I think that was part of it, yes. Yes, it was. They always brought the band in and they
Pass
had the
the
war
hat.
bonds and things of that kind. Yes, I think it was, yes.
Did you play with any big names at all later on? I mean, in the military, like Len Miller and those people?
No, not until I got out of the service. I worked with some of those folks. But while there, in north of Baltimore, we'd go to a nice club there, and like this, but I'm going to tell it anyway. The guys in my group at the table, there was a nice band there, and the trumpet player happened to be black. And they put money down on the table and said, Don, I'll bet you don't sub for the trumpet player. I said, you want to bet? You put a couple more dollars in there, I'll do it. And I did. I asked him if I could play his trumpet, and he let me play his trumpet, and I played with the band, and I'll tell you, I had a great time.
Was the rest of the band black or just him?
No, but just a trumpet player. But we had a great time. Yeah. And even my band, after I got out, I had a black drummer, and a couple of guys from the Air Force who came with another band that he was with. Oh my goodness! I wish I could think of the name of the band. He was with guy. Oh my goodness! Can't think of the name of the band, but he was on TV quite often. And this guy played trumpet in his band. He also played, or also drove a plane. What's the name of the plane? It was a 26, and then they gave him a B-51. He said, Don, do you know what it is to go from one airplane to a 51? It's like going from a Ford to a Cadillac. And he liked that. Good old Fred. Fred was just great. He did a lot of strafing.
Was there a lot of rotation in the band, or the same guys played together all the time?
You know, we didn't have that much of a change. No, we did a lot of the same people.
Well, tell us about these players. Were they music teachers, or were they professional musicians?
I do know one that was a teacher. He was originally from Greenville, Ohio. His name was Brown. And that's been all these many years ago. He's probably not around anymore, but most of them were just civilians. They didn't teach anywhere, and just very good at what they did. Yes.
What kind of arrangements did you use? Did you do any arranging, or did you have originals, or your standards?
We had standards. Standards, yes, pretty much standards. I remember a tune that we always played, and I have remembered this for many years. The name of it was, sure, if I can remember it, I will tell you. The name of the tune was, oh my goodness, let's see, 20, something in the books.
Moonlight
20 in the books. We played that a lot. So when I'm down here at the coffee shop and the guys tell me, what time do you move? What time do you arrange getting there? And I said, we get there at 7:20 in the books. Now, does that make sense? It doesn't, but that's all right. It did to me. Okay? 7:20 in the books. Don't show up at 7:19, but show up at 7:20, okay?
Well, this song that you played, was it a theme song you used it, or?
It was a tune that we did with all the bands. 7:20 in the books, yes.
Well, when you said that, I was thinking about maybe those books that there were a lot of songs in them, you know.
There's a lot of songs in them, yes, there were, quite a few, yes.
Well, that 7:20, did that refer to a page in the book?
No.
Or just the tune?
It was just a tune that somebody wrote, and that's what we did. With my trio, as I got home with my trio, everything was up here. The guy that played in my group, I said one day, I said, look, Jim, everybody in my band stands. And Jim said, Don, I was in the bulge, and he said, if an 88 come through and hit the house that I was next to and killed the lieutenant, he said, I spent 3 years in the hospital. And he said, Don, he said, I don't think I could stand up here that long. So I went over and got a bar stool for him. That lasted three weeks. And he said, Don, I don't think I'll need it anymore. So, and he and my friend three of us, we were together for 21 years. Both of those guys have not lived. They're gone. And they were just great.
This, in the Army band, did they,
Yes.
were you allowed to improvise at all, or did you have to pretty much stick to the music you were playing?
Pretty much stick to the music. Pretty much so, yes. Very much so. Mhm.
Well, then you didn't have any officers, anybody over charge of your unit, just you guys?
Not to my knowledge.
So you just had your band and you did your thing?
Yes, we did. And they would, to the officers' club, they would take us in a bus, take us over there, and it always worked out very well. How's our time? Are we okay? It always worked out well because it seems like we were in the bus getting ready to leave, and here comes this officer. He was looking for one of the guys in the band. I think he got a little bit too close to his wife, and the bus driver wouldn't let him in. Okay? Okay.
Well, were you allowed to drink at the, when
Oh,
you
yes,
played?
yes, there was no problem with that. Yeah, it depends on where you were. Yeah, it depends on where you were, pretty much so.
Do you have anybody that drank too much sometimes?
Always. Always. We're musicians, aren't we? Yes.
Was it hard liquor or just plain beer?
Oh, we were all beer drinkers back then. I remember working someplace and we were all drinking beer there, and all of us had to go into the restroom. And so in the little town we were playing in, first thing you know, what we found out, all the people in the town, they said, you know that band that's in there? They're gay because they all go into the restroom together. I got a million of them.
Well, how about any other funny stories with the band that you had experiences?
I had so many.
Well, tell us some more of them.
I wish I could. So many stories. Oh my goodness. So many stories. Wish I could bring them all up here all at one time. So many stories that I could tell you.
How about any events that you went to and something happened while you were there? Or sound speaker system wouldn't work, or somebody couldn't sing or play, or what?
Well, one time the piano player called me and he said, Don, I can't make it. I'm in the hospital. So I called the bass and I said, my God, I said, I usually do that to get some help. And I said, I need a piano player. And the guy said, well, I do. And I said, who are you? He said, I am the top guy in the Air Force band. And I said, well, you'll do. And he showed up and did just fine.
You played with the Army guys.
He played with the Army guys. Now, that wasn't bad, was it? Huh? That wasn't bad. No, that worked out well. We all got along. Air Force, Army, what the heck? It worked out very well.
Well, did
Yes.
you play any other military, like the Navy bases or Air Force bases or anything?
Never worked any of those. I did, after I got out, I worked the officers club at Wright Patterson Air Force Base, but that was with my band, yes. Yeah.
Well, tell me this now, what lasting memories do you have of the military bands that you might want to chat about?
Well, just having a lot of fun and meeting all the guys and meeting the officers' wives. It was just nice to see everybody, you know? That's the only thing I can think of.
So you had a rather, your experiences were more pleasant all the time than with the military. The band.
For me,
Yes.
I wouldn't say that for everybody because I'm different. I enjoyed what I did. I liked what I did, and we tried to entertain everybody. If we didn't have the music, we had the jokes. Matter of fact, I've got to tell you, you know, I had one of the guys in my band there, he was Polish, and his wife was on the bass too, and don't you know, he went home that night to his wife and looked in the medicine chest, and my goodness, he found a bottle in there that says Polish remover, and he divorced his wife the next morning.
Well, Don, now, you have all the military experience playing these dance bands, and I know from my own personal experience that you've played a lot of bands when you came back.
Yes,
Come
sir.
back now.
Yes, sir, I did.
You're out of the military service now. Tell us about some of the bands, how you got them organized, where you played here, and what you did here, and so forth.
When I was just out, I had a 9-piece band, and we did a party up in Salina at the ballroom, and I thought, it's my band, I'm going to sing if I want to. I sang the tune. Let me tell you how bad it was. It was so bad. I never sang another tune with my band ever. However, I hired a little girl from Australia. She married a GI in Oakwood, and she was great. She stayed with me for a week, 12 and a half years. She was just ideal. Faye was wonderful. So I was so lucky to have her. So lucky to have her. I also, at one time, needed a piano player. I got this guy out of New York. He was blind. And I thought, how's this going to work out? I had 3x5 cards with all the tunes on it. 3 tunes on each one. He said, Bob said, let me take this home and I'll make it in Braille. And we did quite well. And all I had to do was tap him on the shoulder. He went to the first tune, second tune, and the third tune. Now I'll tell you, Bob in New York, let me tell you what Bob did. Every time he played in these beer gardens, he had a monkey on a string. You know, he had a monkey on a string. And there's a lot of beer being sold and stuff like that. So this guy comes up to Bob and he says, Bob, he said, do you know your monkey drank my beer? Bob said, if you can hum it, I could play it.
That's good.
So you had sets of 3 then those days. You still played sets of 3.
We did.
That's
3
what
on
we
each
used to
card.
do, play
Yes,
sets
we
of
did.
3.
Sets. Very good, yes.
Well, tell us more about some of the places you played around here and the people playing your band we may know.
Well, I did a Biltmore for a party that Dave, let me see the band. Harry James was supposed to play that party. My agent called and said, Harry bus got hung up in Indianapolis. So I need a band because we got these people coming out of the dinner hour at the Biltmore at 8 o'clock. I got to have a band there. So we were it, and we played as they came out, and I played trumpet, of course, instead of seeing Harry. They saw me, the best they could do at that point. So all at once, after they all came out, here comes Harry, and we decided to stay. And here, Harry's band, and he did so well. I shook hands with him, and so it was an extremely interesting evening.
Well, did he let you set in with his band?
No,
Or he would not?
No, he didn't let me set in. Matter of fact, the waiter came over with a bottle of booze and 2 glasses, and he didn't even share that with me.
Well, you played the front for him, though.
I did,
You
yes.
played the front before
We
he
played-
showed.
We played until the people came out of the dinner hour, and so on and so forth.
Well, then how long did you have a band when you got out of service, and how many years did you play?
56 years.
56 years.
Yes, 56 years, yes. And we did a party the night the band out of New York was here for the press club. We did that one. The guy that was on at that time, oh God, what was his name? He played a little piano too. Steve, somebody quick. Steve, can't think of it either. Steve Allen. And you know, when we take a break, he'd go over to the piano and play a whole lot of stuff. You see, he was pretty good piano player. So that's what we did.
Did you play as a sideman, any other bands besides your own?
Oh yes, quite often. If they need some help, I did.
Any names we might recognize?
I can't think of any at the moment. I really can't think
Are these
of any.
all local bands out of Dayton?
Local bands out of Dayton, most generally, yes. But I had bands up north in Salina, St. Mary's, Wapakoneta. And I just went to a birthday party for a guy that played for me. He was 90 years old. Vern Denges played bass and sang with my band. He also became auditor of the county for 28 years. I think he did well, don't you?
Yes, that's
He did well. Yes, he did. How are we doing?
You're doing fine.
Okay.
Well, we can wrap it up any time now.
Okay. All right, whenever
It's
you're
been
ready.
a joy talking to you, Don, and
Thank you.
about your experiences and so forth. Any last comments you'd like to make about the Veterans History Program?
About the what,
The
please?
Veterans History Program.
Well, I think this is an ideal. I wasn't aware of it until you called me, Bob Shook, and I think it's a great idea. Just a great idea. I used to be a member here. Now I'm in New Bremen. Is that okay?
That's all right.
Because my dad was a member there for World War I. Okay?
Well, that means you're still a member here.
I'm still here. Yes, I am. Okay.
Well, again, for Post 43, Clever Top Post 43, we thank you for volunteering to be here today and talking with us. And as I mentioned to you before, these will be processed and you will be on the internet soon and you'll be notified from the Library of Congress.
Thank you so
Again,
much,
Don,
Bob.
thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Bob.
Bye now.